pH is a critical element of soil management that governs the type of microorganisms that will thrive in your soil, as well as your plant's ability to absorb certain nutrients. Neutral pH is 7.0, and each whole number, higher or lower, is 10 times more basic or acidic, respectively. Things like calcium, the breakdown of organic matter, and even the water you use for irrigation will change pH over time. Most of you are going to find that your soil trends towards being slightly acidic, a pH of about 6.5 give or take, which is great for most crops, but not all crops. Notable exceptions include sweet potatoes and many berry bushes such as blackberries, strawberries, and raspberries that prefer a pH between 5.5 and 6.0, and blueberries that thrive in a pH as low as 4.5. That's 2 orders of magnitude more acidic than most garden soil. Oftentimes, people incorrectly believe that coffee grounds are a viable method of acidifying soil to this level, but they're nearly neutral after use at around 6.8. So while they do have use and are great for neutralizing basic soil, they're not going to get you where you need to go for acid-loving crops. Now, there are 2 different means by which we could potentially get our soil pH low enough for something like blueberries to thrive. The first would be to find something highly acidic, like vinegar, which contains acetic acid, and pour that directly into our soil. The wiser solution, in my opinion, is to use elemental sulfur, which can be purchased in the form of organic soil acidifiers like this one. Sulfur is broken down by certain bacteria into sulfuric acid, which lowers soil pH over time in a natural way. One of the key bacteria responsible for this conversion is called Acidithiobacillus thioxidans, which you did not need to know, but now you can go repeat that to your friends and sound really smart. When blueberry plants start to show signs of nutrient deficiency caused by a lack of soil acidity, which usually happens around December for me, treat the soil as instructed on the packaging of your soil acidifier. If it's your first time using it, lean towards applying conservatively and reapply after 60 days if the desired pH isn't reached. A good sign that your blueberries are starting to thrive again will be little buds like this starting to form. I also use a bit of this on strawberries and blackberries about a month before they flower, and I use a light dusting a couple weeks before planting sweet potatoes or tomatoes. When we talk about plants that thrive in high pH soil, typically we're talking about crucifers, beets, and certain herbs that prefer a pH around 7.0 to 7.5, so basically neutral. There really aren't any alkaline-loving crops the way there are acid-loving crops, outside of some decorative plants like white hydrangea and some plants like salvia and ipomea that are grown specifically for their psychoactive alkaloids. But since soil does tend towards slight acidity, growing these neutral pH crops is more an exercise in neutralizing acidity than creating a highly basic environment. And towards this end, it's important to remember that things like organic decay and anything that contains sulfur, even your irrigation, can bring down soil pH over time. I see this become a problem a lot with cabbage late in the season, because cabbage is a super nitrogen-hungry crop that wants to have a lot of compost and manure in its soil mix to keep it healthy. Towards the end of the season, all that organic matter starts to break down and acidify the soil, leading to blue, green, or purple tints in the leaves as the plant begins to struggle to absorb calcium and phosphates. The best way to counteract this, if done proactively, is with bone meal. Aside from being a great source of phosphates, bone meal can act as a liming agent in the soil. Liming agents like calcium carbonate and magnesium dioxide release those divalent cations, which then replace the acid cations in the clay particles in the soil. Those released hydrogen ions then go on to interact with the carbonate and the dioxide and form CO2 and H2O, carbon dioxide and water, which you didn't really need to know, but it is pretty fascinating. What you do need to know is that good nutrient sources like bone meal and wood ash, as well as just directly applying calcitic lime, will neutralize acidity in your soil over time and gradually raise pH to appropriate levels for our high pH crops. In an emergency, a solution of baking soda and water can raise soil pH much more quickly, but similar to adding acid directly to the soil, it's a short-term solution that's less stable than fostering the appropriate reactions to get the soil where we want it to go naturally. We've talked about how to create high and low pH conditions in your soil for various crops, but many of the fertilizers, soil additives, and various agents we use to amend soil and care for our plants have knock-on effects on soil pH we may not always consider. So I wanted to conclude our little module on soil pH by going through some common products used in farms and gardens and their interaction with soil pH, even if that's not their primary purpose. Compost, manure, and any other organic material used to enrich soil will have the effect of gradually lowering pH over time, while bone meal and wood ash act as liming agents counteracting soil acidity. I love the organic fertilizer triangle of manure, bone meal, and wood ash, not just because each one does one corner of the NPK triangle really well, but also because they counteract each other's effects on soil pH, giving you really precise control over both the NPK levels in your garden and its pH. Eggshells will raise soil pH. Meanwhile, coffee grounds will lower the pH of alkaline soil, but won't lower the pH of soils that are already acidic. Baking soda can rapidly raise the pH of soil, but it's not a stable change. Meanwhile, vinegar does the same thing in reverse, and if you mix the two together, you can make a volcano with a basic acid cancellation reaction. Sulfur to your soil in any way feeds biological processes that lower soil pH, while magnesium will raise it. But magnesium sulfate will do neither in any notable way. Worm castings are a great way to bring soil back to neutral, whether it's too alkaline or acidic, making them a safe way to enrich soil without risking unintended effects, and a great guard against extreme soil pH in either direction. Now, outside of purpose-built liming agents and soil acidifiers, whose effects on your soil pH should be self-explanatory, that about covers everything that I use on my farms and gardens or any of my customers. If there's something that I forgot or overlooked, go ahead and let me know in the comments, just in case anybody else is looking for that information, and subscribe for more great home farming tips.